the fastest show in sports.
If the Florida Panthers play again like they played in Game 3, and if the Edmonton Oilers get suckered into the Panthers again like they did in Game 3, this series is done. And it's not the best thing for the NHL. They need a 7-game series. But from what I saw in Game 3, that's the defending Stanley Cup champions, and they will win it again. I would not in any stretch, bet against the Panthers at this point. And that goes to Mr. Gambling over there on the far right. So
I'll say this, Mike. I don't know what your takeaway is, but through the first 3 games, especially coming off of, what was it, 6-1 in Game 3?
6-1 in Game 3, yep.
It actually felt worse than that. My biggest takeaway is this Florida team has become the franchise that A, will not beat themselves, B, you have to kill. And I'm not sure they're capable of being killed over a 7-game series. That's how good they are. They are just a team that is, when you got a core like that, and you add a guy like Marchand who probably provided a little extra boost.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, they've got that something of, we're the best hockey team in this league. I don't care what our record was, what our points were. They play like we're the best hockey team. We're the better hockey team every night. Come beat us. And you can't. And by the way, whatever style you want to play, we'll play it.
I got to tell you, I mean, Mike, they're just impressive. You can't, I mean, I get a lot of people who give me a whole lot of crap for the fact that I'm a Bruins fan, and they say, oh, you just hate the Panthers because you're a Bruins fan.
Yeah.
Look, I actually was a season ticket holder for the Panthers in the first 5. I do. I mean, as a Bruins fan, you do. You have to hate the Panthers.
Right.
But you hate them because you want to be them. Let's be honest. The Panthers right now are setting themselves up as the kind of a franchise that everybody in the National Hockey League wants to be. They want to be these guys. They are big, they are strong, they are fast, they have veterans, and they got the best goaltender in the game right now. So that everybody wants to be them.
Yeah, I completely disagree. I think you guys are both out of your minds. I think Edmonton is winning this series in 6 games. I feel bad because Florida had a nice run, and this is over. And by the way, the whole thing last night, what a bunch of hooligans. I mean, they're just awful human beings. I see some guy, he looks like Yosemite Sam, just beating the hell out of a nice, innocent Edmonton Oiler who just happened to be in the vicinity. And okay, yeah, Nurse did take a run at somebody else before that and got his butt smacked around. But nonetheless, these are evil human beings. Their fans are as bad as Philadelphia's. They probably work security for Megadeth. And I don't see any of these people that you call Florida Panther fans, including you, Ed. Whenever the Bruins leave the playoffs, all of a sudden it's like, Ed Berliner, Panthers guy. Like, shut the fuck. I mean, come on, Ed. Get off the bandwagon. They're not. Edmonton is going to find a way to do this. And you know why? It's because Connor David's gotten mad about being punked around on the ice. And he's gonna he's gonna light a fire under those Edmonton Oilers, much like last season after Game 2, and it's gonna be a different series. You'll see.
Did his internet connection go out just in the right time for him to just not drop an F-bomb?
No, I think that might have happened also, but I think also poor Mike's internet connection is going to go out just in time for his medication starts to kick in, which is always, we try to schedule this show and the taping of it so the Mike's meds kick in. This is an example of what happens when you take them 15 minutes too late.
Yeah.
I mean, everything changes. I mean,
hey, I would. Go ahead.
It was ugly. No, it was ugly, and I do, and look.
Are you kidding? If you're a Florida Panthers fan, it was beautiful.
They're on their way. Yeah, they're on their way. They're on their way to another Stanley Cup if they keep playing that. But look, hockey is it's one of the few sports, and this is why I don't know if the Edmonton Oilers will come back. I hope they do, but it's one of the few sports where, and I don't want to say that there are series full on, not just games, but series where the best team has not always won. I mean,
Well,
there are teams that have been outplayed significantly, and they sneak a few goals in late, again, and their hot goalie keeps them in the game. And some reason they've won not just series, but a couple times not the best team won the cup.
but
So
the
what I
beauty
would
of
say is, I
go
would
ahead.
say like this. Let me real quick. I
Yep.
would say that not everybody's okay. Not everybody's winning off a deflected skate goal. Not everybody's winning off a ricochet and traffic in front of the net and dump the puck and just bull yourself in. I understand that, and I understand that Florida's outplaying Edmonton right now, but it's one of those sports that things can change more quickly than any other momentum in sports.
Agree 100%. But the beauty of hockey, and one of the reasons the Stanley Cup playoffs are the most exciting and best playoff, is because it relies on a goaltender. And you can have a guy who may not have a clue who this goaltender is. And if the goalie gets hot, who was it? Cam Ward for Laviolette's 06 Hurricanes?
Yeah.
That they're an 8 seed or a 6 seed, whatever it was, right?
Well,
It's just one of those. It's one of those where if you get a goalie who can carry you or gets hot, you're going to win games and probably win series. Now here's the flip side, and this is where if I'm Edmonton, I'm scared shitless. Because not only is Bob, by the way, he used to actually only call himself Bob. Everyone asked, hey, how'd you do today? He goes, Bob. He just didn't know any English. Poor guy.
Right.
And I get it.
how do you say his name? Horoboski? All right, what?
Bobrovsky.
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 I'm Bob. This is the thing with
Good name, very good.
Bobrovsky rhymes with Porosky.
I
These
love you,
Russian
Tony.
scum. I will kill this American scum.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
good.
Bobrovsky.
See what happens when you date Russian girls early on in your life? It just kind of sticks with you forever. Very nice.
Hey,
Hello.
I love you, Tony. Here's the thing with Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky's really good, and so are the Panthers. They run 3 lines that are probably ones on half the teams in the NHL. That's the problem right now. And on the flip side, Skinner's got to get his head out of his backside.
Oh, come on. He's got to get his head out of his ass. Let's be fair here.
I was
because
trying to be nice. Hey,
Skinner's one of those guys who's red
fun.
hot or he's ice cold, one or the other, and he was ice cold in game number 3. You could just tell some of those goals.
Yep.
I mean,
They're
come on.
awful.
You got to pull your goaltender in a Stanley Cup final after 2 periods. That says an awful lot about not only the goaltender's play, but the play of the entire team. Because the Edmonton Oilers, the vaunted Edmonton Oilers, stunk the joint up in game 3. That was their worst game of the postseason. And I don't know if they can come back from that. That's a backbreaker.
And it was their worst game in 2 years in the postseason. Their worst game in 2 years. It was a bad time to have a bad game and to have a bad.
They were
day.
down. Wait. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were down 0-3 last year.
Last year.
Forced a 7th game.
Mike, they were, but I don't think they ever looked as bad last year as they did last night. I'm talking in a singular game. I don't think they ever.
I think a lot of it had to do with the Panthers. I think you.
Yeah.
It is amazing. It is amazing seeing a player like Connor McDavid, who is clearly faster, more skilled than 99.2% of the hockey players who ever played in the game, to watch him whiz around the ice and somehow it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Like, these guys are like, either they're hitting or they're blocking shots, they're cutting off angles. Look, you guys know more about hockey than I do. My hockey expertise was gained by covering the Caps in many postseasons. And to your point about goalies, oh my God, I was in Montreal in the Forum one night when the Caps had won the President's Cup in 2010. They looked great. and they got Yaroslav
Yeah,
Halak, just like
there you go.
stoned them for the next three. And and they Montreal won in game 7, and it was like amazing to me that one player could have such an influence on a series, because the Caps really, they outshot the Oilers, outshot the Canadians, they outplayed them for a lot, and yet that goalie was so good. But I would say this, just to your point, like, again, the one game is. I think it speaks for that moment. I mean,
Yep.
if okay, I'll agree with you if Edmonton gets their ass kicked in game 4, 7-1 or 4-1 or whatever, 4-0, but I'm not gonna concede the series until I see a pattern. And yeah, okay, game
I
2,
think we
especially
saw a
the
hell of a
last two
pattern in game
periods.
3. I did. I think not only did
Okay.
we see a hell of a pattern in game 3, but we've seen what the Panthers have always been consistently. This is a team that is setting the tone for what every other franchise in the NHL now realizes they have to be in order to contend for a Stanley Cup. They have watched Tampa Bay do it for a few seasons. They've watched the Panthers now do it 3 years in the Stanley Cup final. Again, this is a very physical team. This is a veteran team. This is a team that's not afraid to give you an elbow in the face and make it count in another 30, 40, 50 seconds down the road, or even the next period. They set the tone. And there's a lot of teams in the NHL right now who are watching this team saying, we got to be like these guys if we're going to win a
Yeah.
title. And it's not that easy.
They remind me a little bit about the Devils from back in the day. Remember that neutral zone trap?
Sure.
And it was just so and you had that Scott, what's his name,
Scott
who
Stevens.
just
Scott Stevens.
Scott Stevens just laid out guys. But it's interesting. I mean, it's another argument, it's another show, but like, I am always blown away because whatever, I got that little neural cortex part of my brain that loves seeing like, it reminds you of when you're in kindergarten and the guy goes, fight, fight. And like, all of a sudden, dudes are just, and you're going, oh yeah. But then the part of me, my kids are watching it. I'm going, what kind of freaking sport is sanctioned violence? Like, and the commentators aren't like, oh man, I think those guys gotta, I think refs gotta get in there and clean this up. No, it's like, hey, that was good fighting for a while for Nurse with the other guy. They really went at it. Oh yeah, and you can see Kenny Albert was almost like uncomfortable, but the other two analyst guys are like, that's how to carry it. Boy, he was out there swinging for a while,
They're
and it's like
right.
it's the only
They're right.
it's the only sport that does that.
That's the way hockey is played. You get into the other guy's brain, you stir it around a little bit, you give him some ideas on what's going to happen, you get him worried about the shot that's coming from the backside. Look, what we need to point out at this time is, again, what I said at the beginning, if the Panthers can continue this, what they did in game 3, and if the Oilers don't get their heads out of their ass and play their game in game 4 and beyond, series is over.
Well, so here comes the problem. And I'm with you, but I'm trying to think of the counter for Edmonton. Usually when you get pushed around and then get embarrassed, and both happen in the same game, and you get punked, like happened in game 3, your immediate response is to come out and try to play that similar style that punked your ass, right? You try to become the bully.
And Edmonton cannot do that. They cannot do that.
Correct.
They're a skill team.
They're a skill team. So you brought up the Devils from back in the day, Mike. I was thinking as I'm watching this series, this is the early 2000s version of the New England Patriots against Peyton Manning's Indianapolis Colts. The team that would push you around versus the team that had all the skill. If you want to go back to 01 with the greatest show on turf, feel free. But it was more of the Colts every year. They came to Foxborough and they tried to change the rules, or they tried to play that aerial style without pounding ground, and it's 20 degrees and it's snowing or whatever it is, and they couldn't get it done. New England's like, come on. And that's what the Panthers look like. So if you're Edmonton, you have to block this out. You just have to go back to playing skill. And you cannot, but how hard is it as athletes, guys, to not fall into a trap and take the bait?
Well, but let's be fair, too. Hard. National Hockey League players do this all the time. I mean, when it comes down to series, there might be, and again, this is just a might, There might not be any player who's better than a hockey player at putting it away. That's it. There it is. Compartmentalize. Go away and play a different game. They can change it. But the Oilers are a very finesse team. The Panthers are a, here, come here. I'm going to hit you in the mouth as hard as I can. Let's see if you've got any teeth left. And if you really, that's exactly the way they play the game. And Edmonton, I don't know if they can hold that off. I don't know if they can get back into that finesse because the Panthers are going to come out in game 4. They're going to hit him again in the face. They're going to hit him again in the mouth.
Did you see at one point Marchand was going looking at the Edmonton bench, going think like they were taking like if you guys weren't so stupid, you wouldn't take the bait. But I think it's amazing. One, I love your guys' hockey knowledge, your puck knowledge. I feel like you actually understand puck movement, and I still don't. Two, I would say that. Wayne Gretzky boiled this thing down more than anything. And after game 2, he said this was that game, not last night's game. He said it was such a great game that 2 goalies let in 4 goals before overtime, and they played well. Like it was, they both played well, and so that was. But thirdly, it's amazing that we've spent this much time talking about a niche sport, Ed.
Hockey is hockey. Oh, come on. See, now you're going to go ahead and go off on that nonsense again.
That's all, folks.